Let's start with the economy.
Sure.
That's one of the cornerstones of your campaign, your argument for re-election. Why have you led the economy in Texas to be what it is?
So since I was last reelected, Texas has added far more new jobs than any other state in the United States. The most recent report that just came out showed that Texas has the fastest growing gross domestic product of any state in the United States. Many states are shrinking their economies as we speak right now. Texas is leading in the growth of the economy. But the most important thing is that more Texans are earning a paycheck today than ever before. That helps them be able to pay their bills and take care of their families and have a slice of their own share of prosperity in the state of Texas. But there's also side benefits from our very strong economy. We're sitting on the largest budget surplus in the history of our state, $27 billion. And we'll use some of that money to address education, health care, school safety, and things like that. But we want to return that money to the taxpayers to whom it belongs with the largest property tax cut in the history of our state.
And you should get credit for all of those things. Why?
Because if you look what has happened since I've been governor, Texas has won the Governor's Cup, ranked #1 in the United States for most economic development. During my time as governor, Texas became home to more Fortune 500 companies headquarters than any other state in the United States. The effort that we've undertaken for economic development has both brought more jobs to the state of Texas, but also helped employers in the state of Texas grow. We've seen that while at the very same time, other states lose jobs and lose growth. And so it's our pro-growth policies that have really made Texas the #1 state in the United States for job growth.
On the flip side, Texas is at the bottom in terms of insured people, twice the number of uninsured people as any other state when it comes to health care. The Texas Alliance for Healthcare has indicated this could hurt the economy if it continues. Why not expand Medicaid to address that?
Well, you need to understand that through several slices. First, what we have done, we've dramatically expanded access to health care in the state of Texas without having to expand Medicaid. Let me give you several examples. We invested more both in prenatal and postpartum care. We have provided a record amount of funding for women's health programs in the state of Texas. We also provided a record amount of funding for mental health in the state of Texas. Over the past 3 sessions combined, we provided almost $25 billion for mental health funding in the state of Texas. That's truly elevated the state in its response to mental health in our state. And then there's the deal that we worked out with the Trump administration, that the Biden administration agreed to, where Texas is receiving a $100 billion Medicaid waiver that allows Texas to better be able to care for the uninsured population. Texas has an extraordinarily high uninsured population that are legally incapable of getting insurance in one of several ways. They're legally incapable of getting Medicaid, legally incapable of accessing the Obamacare expansion, and that's because we have such an extraordinarily high number of residents in the state of Texas who are here without legal authorization.
But why not expand Medicaid? Because it would touch some of those people who are here legally who could get insurance.
So like in so many ways, the Beto campaign has been misleading Texas. This is just another way in which Beto is misleading Texas about Medicaid expansion. Let me give you several examples. But when Texas first joined Medicaid, it cost $50 million a year. Now it costs $32 billion a year. And then you look at large states that expanded their Medicaid programs like California and New York, and they both agreed that it cost them far more than what they expected. California so much so, they even had to cut back on their education funding to pay for their Medicaid expansion. So Beto's proposed Medicaid expansion is a tax increase waiting to happen.
Along the lines of health care, women's reproductive health care, 77% of Texans don't agree with the law as it currently stands. Some would support it if it included rape and incest as an allowance. Why is the law as restrictive as it is? Why not include rape and incest?
Well, it's because it's the law that was passed by the legislature. But what's truly extreme, and what most Texans disagree with, is the policy of Beto. Beto not only is in favor of abortion of a fully developed baby to 1 second right before that fully developed baby is born, he's also against requiring health care to be provided to a baby who survives an abortion. What Beto stands for is unlimited abortion at taxpayer expense. That's the extreme position on abortion in Texas.
So most Texans would agree with that. I mean, by far, most Texans agree that they don't want abortion all the way to birth, but they do want those exceptions. Is that something that the legislature might revisit?
So in the coming session, there will be a lot of proposals that are offered up. Let me tell you what I'm focused on in the coming session, and that is we must make clear not only that the life of the mother is as important as the life of the baby, but we need to clarify what that really means, because the medical profession and politicians have mischaracterized that. Let me give you several examples. Some women have miscarriages. Some have ectopic pregnancies. Some have other health issues related to their pregnancy that could impair their life and endanger their life. Some doctors have said that they're not going to treat those situations. We must both clarify and make sure that the medical profession is doing everything that they can to protect the life of the mother.
So we may see some changes in language so that doctors better understand what they're allowed to do that wouldn't necessarily be considered an abortion, but that would still end what some would consider a pregnancy.
Yeah, so we must make clear that the life of the mother is just as important as the life of the child, and that doctors must take action to protect the life of the mother.
But rape and incest will continue to be, won't be exceptions.
Yes, and listen, there's going to be, as I said, there's going to be things ranging from just across the board with regard to different proposals addressing abortion. And we'll see what comes up. All I can tell you is the last thing that we will do is to what Beto stands for, and that is to allow basically the killing of a fully developed child just a second before that child is born, and not doing anything to help a child who survives an abortion.
If there were a bill to come across your desk that did make those exceptions, would you sign it?
Listen, there's going to be a lot of pieces of legislation that come forward that will be across the board. Some legislation that will be offered up is exactly what Beto's talked about, and that is allowing a fully developed child to be aborted just seconds before that child is born. And there will be laws proposed that would say that a child who survives an abortion should be denied access to health care. And of course, we'd be against things like that. And as I indicated earlier, there's going to be some laws that will be proposed that will make sure that we're doing more to protect the life of the mother. And those are the kinds of laws that I'm going to be looking to advance, and we'll see where the others land.
Sure. I know we only have a minute left. I do want to touch on immigration. The mayor of New York declared an emergency. What communication, if any, have you had with New York or Washington or Chicago about the busing of immigrants to those locations?
So on a personal basis, you asked me, so I haven't talked to any of them about it. As I understand the way the process works, and that is that the NGOs, which are non-governmental organizations, in the Texas side and on the receiving side, they're in communication. And it's the NGOs that take the lead on both ends with regard to the migrants.
So you have denounced those who've suggested it's a political stunt. Why is that?
It's because of the facts. And what the facts are is that this all began back in April when small little towns on the Texas border were overwhelmed by Joe Biden's border policies that were dumping thousands of illegal immigrants into these small little towns that were completely incapable of dealing with it, and they needed relief. And they asked for me to help them, and came up with these busing operations. And I said, I will take charge of that and make sure that we are removing all the migrants from these small little towns, and they are sent to sanctuary cities that have the resources and capability of dealing with it that do not exist in these small border towns.
Final question. By sending some of these buses to, say, out in front of the Naval Observatory or the White House, is that not performative as opposed to just taking care of the issue?
Yeah, what's performative is to have the Vice President of the United States be in Houston or in Texas and saying that the border is fully secured. What's performative is the Secretary of Homeland Security saying that the border is fully secured. What's performative is the President of the United States doing nothing to step up and secure our border in complete dereliction of his duty as President of the United States.
Anything else you'd like to add, Governor?
I think that's it.
All right.